So we'll just do a recap of what we have discussed yesterday. So the topics that we discussed yesterday was, we discussed about cardinality, then we went into process modeling. In process modeling we discussed about business activity, logical action, change request types, simple workflow configuration. So the cardinality, there was a discussion on, what are the different cardinalities that are there in data modeling. 1:1 is a cardinality. 1:n is one more cardinality, and 0:n is one cardinality. So we use 1:1 cardinality for what? This is between type 1 and type 4 entities to split table into multiple small entities in MDG. And 1:n is the cardinality which we use between to extend a record into multiple logical units. Like example, material extension to a plant, vendor extension to a company code. And 0:n is the cardinality used only for type 3 attributes to add as a key or referencing attributes in with reference to type 1 or type 4. Right? Any questions on this?
So this 1:1 means like it is like primary key to primary key relationship.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
and 1:n means primary key to non key field relationship. I mean 1:n means not non key fields, but there may be some primary keys more than I mean, one is to
One
many
key
line
field,
item. Yeah,
many key fields. One key field to many
yeah.
key fields. Yeah.
One key is to, and zero is to n means the zero means attribute. That is the non-key fields.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is to n. Referencing type 4. Type 4 means this. I mean,
Dependent table.
non dependent tables. Okay, attribute. Okay.
And process modeling is a combination of workflow plus checks in the process. Now, what is considered as checks? Checks would consist of authority checks, mandatory checks, automatic deduct checks. And what are part of automatic deduct checks? Check table validation, fixed values validation, data type validation. Custom rules, maintain it, MDG level. These are considered as process relevant checks. And what is a business activity? Example, in MDG, what can be considered as a business activity?
Task.
Sorry,
Task.
a task. Action which will create, change, verify, master data records. Example, material create, material change. And action is nothing but create, block, change, load, etc. And what is the role of change request types? Yeah, any answers? What is the need of CR type?
To track the log, particular action.
No.
Karthik, it is to record the changes, whatever has been requirement of the client, so we can know what phase the requirement is and to record it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a prerequisite to assign a send the CR type for any master data changes, which generates CR number using or to track the request status. And in workflow, we need to still discuss. We have just discussed only simple static workflow. Today we will be discussing about the change request types in detail and the simple workflow configuration.
Karthik, what is that prerequisite that you're referring to? Can you just brief me a bit? Prerequisite. I mean, what are the
So
prerequisites?
assigning a CR type to a process is a prerequisite to do any master data changes in MDG. So when we do raise a request to creation of a material, or we are changing a material, right? So we will assign a CR type that becomes a mandatory.
Okay.
Without having a CR type, we cannot do any master data changes.
Okay, so the CR type is configurable in the system,
Yes.
like the CR number. Okay, so that
Yes.
we have to configure. Okay.
So in the CR type, we have few nodes. So in the master data governance, MDG, AMG, general settings, process modeling, change request types. So in this change request node, there are a few things which are mandatory for us to understand. Not all configurations are relevant. Few of them would be very specific to the scenarios which are very rare. Let's say example, form-based change request. If someone is trying to generate a PDF forms, then they'll be using this form-based change request. And change request archiving is a concept.
So Karthik, just to stop, like you told that form-based change request is a form PDF form, so it will be interactive forms, Adobe interactive forms. It means
Yes.
not a general PDF upload.
No. It's not general PDF upload.
Okay.
And if in case if you wanted to do that, then you will do this.
Okay.
This configuration.
So there will be some standard form-based change request will be also there.
No, there are no standard form-based change request.
Okay.
The rest of, I mean, apart from that, there is something called Fiori-based change request.
Okay.
Apart from Fiori and PDF-based, rest of things will fall under the FPM-based change request. Now, there is no certain parameter or attribute which will classify this is form-based or this is PDF-based or this is Fiori-based. No. The
Okay.
configuration steps will remain same,
Mhm.
but we will differentiate them with the descriptions how we are classifying it.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Karthik.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just getting confused here regarding form-based change requests. Is it from the requester side or from the functional expert side? Because uh, are we giving to the system a functionality that a requester can upload a PDF file and an Excel file, or is it something else? Uh,
Now, a
or maybe
PDF can work on the interactive PDFs. Sorry, the users can work on the interactive PDF. The requesters, instead of working on a Fiori applications, or instead of they work on a FPM application, the moment they are getting all the data, they'll enter that in the PDF itself. The moment he submit the PDF, it will go through an approval process. Most often, end users will be working on Excels or forms, right? They'll be
right.
working on PDFs and Excels. So this is one of the approach that you can generate a change request via an Excel or via a PDF. Both options are there. Of course, SAP is
Uh,
not supporting it. SAP
oh,
is not
okay.
supporting it. But since there is a concept of interactive PDFs which are available by, provided by SAP in the recent last 4 to 5 years, they are leveraging this concept into MDG also.
Uh, because
They have
Karthik, I have never seen this kind of a CR before. Uh, I have only seen CRs through NWBC, uh, which is being
right.
raised by the requesters, and they are attaching what kind of a text format. They are attaching Excel, they are attaching PDFs, emails, and something like that. So
Right.
this is
So
something which I have never
even
seen here.
even SAP are also not providing a Adobe PDF based UI. They were providing a provision. If you are interested, you can make a custom solution.
No, because one of the solution is that also, like, usually client will not go for that, because for every Adobe interactive forms there is a license.
Correct.
So usually customer will not, or client will not agree for extra license, so they will not go for that. But yes, interactive forms can be done.
Right. Since if someone wants to do that, SAP has provided a provision, and even SAP is not providing any solutions on that. But they have provided a provision to develop if someone is interested to do it. So that's why I'm saying it's not relevant for us. We'll
Okay.
focus on other configurations, like example, different priorities for the change request. What is the priority? Very high, high, medium, low, very low. Like that you can define your own priorities. This is common across the change request. This is not at a CR type level. It is at a system level.
Karthik,
Right.
here, if it is very high priority, what is the difference between very high and high? Oh, what will be extra will be initiated in this case?
Nothing. Based on these priorities, you would not expect any automations or notifications that are built in the system. So the moment you got a request, uh, the next level specialist or the approver can filter the change request based on the priorities and work on them initially.
Oh, okay. That means when the approval get the notification and the status, whether it's this status, this priority will be intimated. That's what you're saying,
Correct. Correct. It might be intimated, or let's say he has 30 work items in his work list in a change request to be processed by him. Okay. Out of 30, which one he has to take a first priority, which is assigned as a high priority, he need to work on them. So he'll filter the list of CRs according to the priorities.
Other than that, there is nothing specific, right?
Nothing specific.
Any specific?
Nothing specific.
Okay, okay, just for notification then.
Yeah. Reasons for the change request. Okay, now, if someone is trying to create a vendor, what kind of a vendor you are trying to create? Is it a direct vendor or a portal vendor, or is it getting created by some third-party interfaces, or is it being created from a Ariba system, or is it because of festival demand that right now that's why you're creating one-time vendor? What is the reason that you're trying to create a new vendor, or what is the reason for you to change the existing vendor, and what is the reason you are trying to block a vendor? So the vendor performance, you can see vendor performance is one of the reasons you are trying to block a vendor. So when you're raising a request, you can give a very short description about that request, why you are raising a request. These are purely configurable. SAP will not deliver any reasons. Now let's say where these reasons will be available on a UI.
Hello. Yeah, Karthik, that means to say user have to give description only from this configuration. He can't give own description at the time of share.
He can also give his own description.
Okay.
In the change request, we have priority, very high, low, medium, yeah, and we have the reasons. Okay, the reason is not configured for the CR type.
Karthik, this CR ID will be populated automatically, right, from the number range?
It is automatic. It is automatic. Let me get the CR type.
Karthik, can we define the range of the CR type, or it is like it's static?
It's a
like
number range. It's number range.
Yeah. So can we define that in the system anywhere? Like, is it
Yeah,
configurable?
No, not it's not configurable.
Okay.
It automatically increments.
Okay.
Here I have a question, this CR ID number, for example, for vendor, the implementing vendor and material master, then both will have a separate number range, right? Then in that case, it needs to be configurable,
It's
right?
common. It is common.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah. Let's say you are creating now I am creating a vendor request which got generated 273.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now you go to material master and generate a new CR for new material, it would be 274.
Okay. It cannot be divided, separated?
No.
Okay. This entry, all entries are custom, right? Even the reason code, we can give anything.
Yeah, we can give anything.
Karthik, how you got this UI screen?
Sorry,
This UI screen, how you from where you
which
working,
UI? This
on
one?
which you are working. This screen.
This one?
No.
No,
Where
actually, he's talking about the screen, the NWBC screen, like the T code to open the NWBC screen.
This one?
yes.
This is NWBC. The moment we click on NWBC, it will give us an NWBC launcher, and I click on NWBC, it will give me a menu. From here, I navigated to customer governance. There's such customer and create new organization. That's where I have come up with that.
Okay.
Now I got the seasonal demand. Now I submit this request. Now
Karthik?
hello, yeah.
Yeah. So I have one question here. Which is the option which says that we are selecting the level of approvals or approvers? Is it reason or workflow?
Workflow.
Is
That
it
is the
not
CR
reason
type.
code?
So the moment I select the CR type here,
Mhm.
it will identify the workflow template.
Okay, the number of approvers. Okay, the list of approvers. Okay.
Yeah. So the workflow template is maintained at a CR type level. If you can recall the yesterday's example, create change request type, that's where we have given a workflow template. So the moment I select the CR type, the workflow has been identified.
Okay. So, so if we have multiple regions like EMEA, APAC, Europe, and the US, so how will we differentiate the number of the level of approvers? Because
So here you can create customer for EMEA region, create customer for North America region. So the moment a requester is raising a new customer, he know to which region he is raising it, right? He knows that before he is raising a request.
Here, Karthik, I have a question. We can have a one CR type, and at the validation level, at the BRF plus level, we can dictate the different approval, right, based on EMEA or Asia Pacific.
That is also possible. That requires an enhancement. I'm telling the standard approach. Without doing any enhancement or codifications, how can you achieve that?
But that will be covered, right, in your class?
Enhancing the standard solution.
Yeah, yes, BRF plus, yeah.
We will be covering the standard BRF, but how do you add it? I'm not covering it, but I can give you the guide for that.
Okay.
How do you do it? What all badges you need to implement? All those things we'll be covering. Okay.
I would just need your 20 seconds for this approval thing.
Yes. Yes.
So what we are doing is, so we have.
Shall we pass this discussion?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now in MDG it is mandatory that if someone is rejecting a work item, he need to enter the rejection reasons as well. This is the request reason why someone is trying to raise a request. And if a specialist or a approver is rejecting a request, then he need to specify the reason. So all the reasons has to be configured here. It's a duplicate vendor, or it's not liable, or the blocked vendor, or right now if some changes are happening, so the vendor is blocked at the company code level, and the material has not enriched. So in
That
the
means,
request we can say,
Karthik, when they reject, for the duplicate vendor, whatever it is reason, only whatever the reason has been given, based on that only you can reject. If there is any other than these reasons, then how they will reject?
no, this is the reason what he will be mentioning. So I wanted to just show you a
Who, approver?
scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if there is no other reason which is not been configured,
No, we need to configure all the reasons, so that discussion will happen with the business, right? So if it is not configured, we'll have one generic reason. One generic reason that something that he need to take a call. Either he'll give a generic reason or it's a specific reason. Let me check the CR type for that. So this is the cost center creation which I'm taking. Save, submit. So when I'm rejecting here, the node become, it's asking me to provide the nodes. What is the reason that I'm rejecting the cost center? So where do we mention that, the nodes become mandatory? That will go to the change request. Now here at the actions, when someone is trying to reject, we can say nodes is mandatory and reason is mandatory and some check is mandatory. When we say check, it will do the data consistency checks. At an action level, we can configure what all fields can be mandatory. Now, out of this, the most important thing is edit status of the change request. These are the statuses which are delivered by standard, and we should never ever change the values of permitted processing of the statuses. Now what does it specify? What is the permitted processing? When the change request get the status, say for example, final check to be performed. That means the CR will get the status only before the final approver. As a principle of governance, the final approver should not change any data. Example, he knows that there is some information missing in address details, but still he should not change the data, but rather he should take an action. He might send it for revision or he may reject the CR with giving his comments, but not data changes. That's the principle of governance. So how do we control that all the master data fields are only will be displayed as read only? If the status has no processing, that means he cannot change any master data objects. Everything will become read only. Now, something is final check approved. After approval also, we should not do any changes. It is read only. Final check rejected, read only. Activation failed, read only. Approved and to be replicated, still read only. After approval, we are not supposed to do any changes. Similarly, we have change of an object list and execution of changes. Now these details, if you look at the change of an object list, with the assignment you can add and delete the objects of a change request. And here, with this assignment you can add and delete the objects of the change request, and in addition you can change the objects. Example, if the requester has extended a material to a new plant and it went for an approval process, and in the next level specialist, at the specialist level, if the status is change of an object list, he can either delete the plant or he can add the new plant, but he cannot do any modifications to a plant, existing plant. But if the status got the processing changes, then he can add the plant, delete the plant, and can also do the modifications to a plant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we should not change the statuses. It's a best practice. Always we go for execution of changes. That means he can add, he can delete, or he can modify the existing plant. The best practice is going for this. There are very rare scenarios that the specialist cannot do changes, but he can only add or remove the records. At least I could not come across this scenario.
I think the changes record will be also stored into the log.
Log? Yes.
Like
it will store the change request logs.
I think I'm a little bit confused here in this one case. Like you said, no processing. It will always will be no addition, nothing can be done.
All the fields are read only. Nothing can be done with it.
Yes. So steward and approver, they cannot do anything. They will just do all analyze and they will submit or they will reject.
Correct. So let's take this as an example. Okay.
Yes.
I resubmit. Changes to be executed. Okay. What do you mean by changes to be executed? The status is 02. Changes to be executed. Execution of changes. Now I'm finalizing the process as a specialist. Now it came to me as an approver. Final check to be performed. Means the status is 04. What does it say? No processing, right? So if I click on edit, I cannot edit any of this master data. I'm not getting any option to edit this. I can only edit the change request details. And I'm saying reject.
Karthik, just one question here. Clarify me if I'm wrong. Like you told that in the, I mean, when we reject, we'll get some rejection reason pop up like that we have considered. I mean, that we have configured in the system, but we are getting a screen to edit the. I mean, we can write anything on the comment box there. So,
No, yeah, here we do get the rejection reason code. Like this is the reason, right?
Okay.
And there would be a rejection reason. I think that has to be configured for the CR type.
Okay. So for each CR type, we have to configure the workflow. I mean for each part, let's say each tab that we are there in NWBC, we have to configure the workflow, the rejection reason, and the approval determination. I mean, is it the process?
Reasons for the request, reasons for the change request, why someone is raising a request, reasons for the rejection, why approver or specialist is rejecting a reason. These are the two which we have to configure at the change request level. Okay, and when we are creating a change request, we will assign a workflow template to it.
As I was not there in the previous session, just a place where you have mapped the workflow ID. Just can you show me? Okay. And the approval steps, have you discussed
That would be
it?
that would be part of the workflow.
Okay.
But Karthik, I think MDG has this functionality automatically that whenever a requester or anyone approver is rejecting a request, the system will not reject that request until you enter the notes or the comments or the reasons for that particular request and why you are rejecting it. So this is a no. Okay.
Yes, that's based on the configuration. So I showed you this, right? So if someone is rejecting it, it is not like mandatory that always there is a pop-up.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
If the notes
so we have selected
checkbox
it.
is enabled, yeah,
Mhm.
then there will be a notes pop-up which is mandatory.
Okay,
Similarly, if there is a rejection reason mandatory, then it will come for that specific action.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there might be some customers who say the moment someone is submitting a data, the notes is mandatory. He should at least give some email attachments or some content in an email he should be pasting in the note section. So all those things are based on actions. Now we'll discuss about the change request type configuration. Now, to create a change request, we'll give the change request name, it's a free text. And then we need to either give edition type or the data model. So edition type will have a discussion. This is only specific to flex storage mode. Only flex storage mode. So we can either give an edition type which are pre-configured, or we can give the data model for this. So the moment if I give edition type, the data model field becomes read only. Or if I give the data model called OG, the edition type becomes read only. This is specific to only flex mode. Now I am giving it for the business partner. Now, single object means there are two processes in MDG. Single object processing, mass object processing. Single object means a process which will either create one record or modify one record or delete one record. A material extended to a plant is also one record. A material extended to 10 plants is also one record. Here the master data object, the root entity, is considered to identify the number of records, not type 4 entities. So one material can extend to 100 plants, but still it is considered as only one material, and that is called as single object processing. And there is something called multi or mass object processing. more than one material is part of the changes. Now there are multiple activities which are considered as mass object processing. One is initial load, mass change.
Karthik, here I have a question. No, when you are creating on a CR type, it always meant to one material or one vendor, right? How will you do the in the foreground, multiple objects?
Okay, so let's say if I'm doing a file upload.
Mm-hmm.
Or let me show you one thing. Process of multiple objects. You're able to see the node?
Yeah.
So when I'm doing a file upload,
Okay, in that you are saying this may mainly used for the file upload through UI.
exactly. So now at this position, when I'm loading the data, it will provide me a pop-up to select the change request type. Now the change request types which has a checkbox, single object checkbox equals to space.
Okay.
That list of CR types will be prompted here.
Okay. Yeah, that means so we'll doing the process of upload only. The second stage only it will pop out the CR type. Not at the beginning. You cannot choose the CR type and start the uploading process. Okay. Actually, I got to know that there is some standard program, the UI upload, process for the vendor and material. Is it true?
No, this is the standard application.
Okay.
Karthik, in this case, what's the mass upload and the normal upload?
See, there is no mass upload and normal upload. Upload is the same. You have one record, it is called as upload. I have 10 records,
Okay.
it's an upload.
The same file, same process only.
Same process, yeah.
So normally they are always saying mass upload we need to do, mass changes we need to do. Like that, so that I'm getting confused.
Mass upload, email upload, mass changes, everything will point to the same process.
How will I get to know the file format, for the standard, mass upload through UI? How will I get to know the file type, file format?
That's a different discussion that we'll do. We will generate the file template.
Okay.
As per our requirement, we will generate the template. Okay. And we'll give the main entity here. And we need to give the workflow number. So the workflow number WS6080086. If this is the workflow template, this is the BRF based workflow. Other than this, whatever we are giving, that is a static workflow template. We need to remember this is the BRF based workflow template.
Sorry, Karthik, just one more small question. File upload, multiple file upload is possible? The same place?
What do you mean by that?
If I have 5 files is there, the same 5 files I need to upload the same time is possible?
No, one by one we need to upload.
Multiple is not possible?
Multiple not possible, no.
Okay, thank you.
So How do you identify the BRF plus workflow template? The only way is we need to remember this is the template number. Apart from this, any other templates would be known as non-BRF and static workflow templates.
What about, come again? Which is non-BRF?
Other than this, any template which we are giving, those are non-BRF static workflow templates.
I didn't get it, Karthik. You are saying this, okay.
Okay.
Karthik, I have one more doubt added to Mr. Srinivas. Like the template which says starts with 608 is a BRF plus, but do we can identify the workflow template is of business partner or the finance or?
See, is it for like 86? Is it for a material or a vendor or finance or generic?
Workflow templates are not specific to any solution.
Okay.
A template can be used across the solutions.
Okay. If it is static workflow, the same process would be applicable?
Same process.
Karthik, meaning by static workflow is saying that the levels of approval will be fixed, and meaning BRF plus will be like it's configurable, or that's what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Okay.
Not only the level of approval, the status of the change request,
Okay.
the routing of the rejections, everything is predefined.
Okay.
We would end up adding a users to a workflow steps in static workflows. Only users.
Sorry, the last point I didn't get.
We will only configure the agents or users to a specific step.
Okay.
In the static workflows. The rest of the things are pre-delivered.
Okay.
Hello, Karthik. If we want to change the static workflow, we can copy that one and modify, and we can assign that workflow to CR type.
You can definitely do that.
Okay.
But I would recommend not to do it.
Okay.
I think which is called a rule-based workflow. Then is a static workflow is called a rule-based workflow, or 86 one is called a rule-based workflow?
86.
Will you cover up the topic wants to create a brand new workflow template, or
yes,
just go with the standard?
I'll cover the brand new BRF plus rule-based workflow and static, both. I'll cover both of them. Okay. Now this is the workflow template which I am assigning. Now I need to add the type 1 entities. When I'm creating a change request, it should understand what are the minimum type 1 entities which I would require to generate a CR number. So in our case it would be Mara, but in business partner case it will have address number, header and relationship. How do we know that these are the three entity types? We should refer to the existing CR types because these are all delivered by SAP. We will not configure the CR types for any standard solution. The moment we activate the business functions and PC sets, all the CR types would be delivered. And the documentation also we can refer. They will specify the list of entity types we need to provide for a CR type. Apart from that, there is no other way for us to understand what would be required for a standard solution. If it is a custom solution, we can decide by ourselves. it is type 1 entity. Any questions on this entity type node?
So all entity types will be type 1 in change request type.
Correct. Whatever we are giving here, it would be type 1.
Then actually that means in the change request we never use the other entity type, right?
No.
Okay, in that case where it will be useful, the other entity type?
If you get the type 1 entity, automatically the change request can identify all the type 4 entities.
Oh, okay, they're related. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
related data and the related
By the
data
relation-
model, it will check all the okay.
Yeah. The major configuration is to identify what is the starting point. So the starting point is always the type 1 entity. Once you got that pointer, then all the nested type 4 entities, the branches can be automatically identified by the relationships which we configure. Now let's take an example of mass changes. Initial load, mass change. They both have the checkbox which is space. Mass change for breakdown category, space. Mass change for breakdown category set, space. This is something wrong, which is a Z material. Multiple processing of customer financials and sales, space. Mass change of consolidation group. So anything is mass change, then the checkbox will be space. Hope by now we got a clarity on this checkbox.
Hello, Karthik, what is that object required and parallel? Are you?
I'll be discussing them.
Okay.
So to create a change request type, we would minimum require the mandatory columns to configure. One is the CR type, then the data model, description, single object checkbox, main entity type, and workflow. These are the 6 columns which are mandatory to create a CR type. Rest of the columns, parallel checkbox, objects required are optional. It works based on the scenario. Now, the objects required checkbox has a relationship with the scope of entity. Now if you observe, any of the standard solutions does not have this objects required checkbox. SAP is not using it, but what is the relevant of this? So let's say if I have this create account, entity, I'm sorry, it's my bad. I was saying this scope of entity is related to parallel checkbox. Okay, the moment you wants to navigate to this parallel checkbox, system will not allow you to navigate to this scope of entity checkbox. This would require parallel processing not enabled for the CR type, navigation not possible. Only if we can assign a parallel checkbox, then we can navigate to this scope of entity. Now, what do we mean by parallel change request? I'll take an example. With material. Now, there would be a requirement saying there is one user who wants to change the company code information. And there is one more user who wants to change the purchasing information. For the same vendor. Say for 1, 2, 3 is a vendor. Now what would happen? Because the vendor 1, 2, 3 has been logged in a change request by user 1 that he is doing a company code changes, it will not allow for the another user to log the same vendor in a purchase organization. It says the vendor 123 has been logged in a change request. But from the business perspective, they would ask why there is a log at a vendor number, because that person is doing from the finance perspective. I am doing it from the procurement perspective. Both are independent to each other. System should allow us to do the changes at the different department level. Hope you got the business scenario.
Karthik, please repeat. It was
okay. So purchasing team changes of vendor 1, 2, 3 does not have any impact on the company code. Similarly, the changes at the company code is not having any impact on the purchasing. Right? These are two different departments who are responsible to do two different changes. Now the standard behavior, the standard MDG behavior says, if someone has logged the vendor in a CR type, that is logged at the type 1 entity level. That means a vendor number level. Now if user 1 log the vendor in the company code level, the user 2 is not able to do the vendor changes at the purchase org level. It says the vendor has already been logged.
yes.
Okay, so then how do we bring a scenario that even user 2 can also do the changes to the purchasing information? So then we need to specify the scope of lock is not at a type 1 entity level, but the scope of lock is at the entity and sub-entity level as well. So we need to give the company code and purchasing information relevant entities in the scope of entity type.
Hello, Karthik. It's always type 1. Okay.
No, not type 1. Type 1 plus all the type 4s.
Okay.
I'm showing here.
So for both case, the change request type same, okay?
Yeah, for both the CR type will be same. It will generate two different CRs.
But my question is, if that process is different, okay, in both case, so how you assign two workflow to one change request type then?
If the process is different, no, you cannot assign this. So your question is very valid. If the process is different, you cannot do that. Then you should have two different CR types.
Oh, then we have to go different CR type. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here the process is same, but there is no interdependency between the data.
So know the process is same. Means it's depend on functional or how you know.
So we would understand in the requirement blueprint phase, right?
Okay.
We got all the details. Let's say here that I'm giving DRAD basic, I should also give DRAD basic txt. I mean to say we should give the complete branch. Let me take an example. It's okay. We can say enhancing the scope of change request type can corrupt the data. It's okay. We can ignore this. Again, this is not a best practice. That's why they're giving that warning. Now we have logged Marcy purchasing and Marcy storage location details. Let me open and show you. So what happens is, we cannot, if there are two change requests generated, we cannot change any basic details. Only this UABB will be enabled and this UABB will be enabled. I mean this section and this section, only these two sections will be enabled for the changes. The rest of the fields will be read-only automatically.
In this case, two CR will be created parallelly.
Not parallelly, one after the other. So let's say you have raised a request to change the material storage location, and that is happening in your own process of workflow. Meanwhile, I as an end user, I also raised the same for the same material. I also raised one more request
Okay.
for purchasing. So it will generate a new CR for me.
Two different CR. Okay.
Two different CR.
But Karthik, you said that it will lock, the user will get error lock, like they both are using same material.
If we do not use the scope of entity type level changes, then they'll get a lock.
Okay. But Karthik, again, I'm to like one more question. Like, see, as we said initially, when the data will be created, it will be in the MDG. Once it will approved by the final approval, then only the data will move to the storage location. So now, as they are creating the task, might be one case will be get rejected and one will be approved.
Okay, so it's a good point that you made. This parallel checkbox is only relevant for the change scenarios, not for the create scenarios.
Okay, okay.
Okay, it is only relevant for the change scenario. You cannot create anything parallelly with two different CRs. No, that's not possible.
So on for change we can do, but not for parallel. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Any material, if I take one example like related to material, if I am using one material, until that material will not get approved and stored into the storage location, it will the another CR with the same material cannot be created.
Correct. And objects required as a checkbox to specify that the entity types which are configured here, apart from the main entity, the list of entities which are configured here will become mandatory to create a one CR. Example, I can say here, the material basic text is one entity type I can give. Not entity text. When we are creating a material, there might be a scenario that you should also give the data related to service master. Material and service go side by side. So you will have type 1 entity of service master, and that service master you can give it here. There is no standard scenario for us to discuss about this point. Again, I'll tell one example. Let's say if material is being created, along with the material and equipment should also get created in the system. This is one scenario. If material is being created, along with the material, there should be a financial asset which has to be created. This is one type 1 object, and material is also type 1 object. There is no standard scenario for us to discuss on this, but this is the concepts of object required. So when you are creating a material, you will also give the equipment type and entity there, so that equipment data becomes mandatory to generate a change request. Similarly, if you wanted to give the financial asset as mandatory, you can give the financial asset type and entity there, it becomes a mandatory. Is this point clear? Any questions on this? Since we do not have any scenario, even standard would not use this object required checkbox in any of the scenarios. So we cannot discuss that with any of the standard example. It is purely a POCs or custom object developments that you might come across. But this is good to have information.
Karthik, financial asset.
Karthik, can we assume that object required is to enhance the standard one with some custom check?
Right.
Am I right?
Exactly. Yeah. I was also listening another question.
Karthik, is this included in the assignment?
Sorry?
Is this part of the assignment also? What you are teaching this custom
No, I'm not getting your question.
assignment also?
Sorry,
Karthik is saying this part comes under the assignment which you will be giving us.
See, this would be a huge development for you. Very huge. It's kind of a big project. This objects required, as I told you, this is very rare scenario. You would require a good functional specification and requirement to design the complete flow. I don't
Have you
want
come across
you to
anything in your real time?
Yeah, so this is the real example which I'm talking about. We went with material and financial assets.
Karthik, what do you mean by financial asset? Like with this financial asset word, if you can give.
Okay, so the financial fixed assets. Let's say if someone has a material, let's say if you have a big motor in your unit, okay, big generator in your unit. That is considered as a material when you are procuring it, correct?
Yeah.
And when that big generator, you are not trying to sell that generator, you are trying to use that generator to produce some products in your company. So that becomes an equipment. So the material should have the equipment number which is tagged in the system. So once it is created as an equipment, then the plant maintenance team will, automatically there would be a plant maintenance module which will come into the scope. Now they will create the equipment maintenance, equipment performance or equipment work list, functional locations and all those stuff. Now, when there is a generator in my company, the generator value initially might be, say for example, 10 lakhs. Now, after 1 year, do you expect the value of that generator will be same? 10 lakhs?
No, it will depreciate.
It will depreciate by some value, maybe for 8 or 7 based on some rules. So at given point of time, if someone has to do a valuation of your company, they should also consider that generator in the valuation. So they will also calculate what are the total fixed assets that you have in your company. So for that, there is a concept called financial fixed assets.
Okay. And when it comes to objects, a check mark in the system when we are configuring it. Can I say it like this, that do we require a different data model for this particular?
Not different data model, same data model, but multiple type of entities.
Okay. Can we say it like that, creating a new account line or creating a new profit center or cost center?
Correct.
Okay.
You can say with that. Yeah. So if you are creating a profit center, in the process you also want to create a cost center for the same. There are some companies who will go parallelly, side by side.
Yes.
A new profit center has to come with a new cost center, right?
Yeah.
So you can make both of them mandatory. Yeah.
So then is when object check mark is required.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now let's move on to the workflow configuration.
I think you didn't send us that, that your documentation, the class documentation.
Yes, sir. So I'm just, facing some difficulty in sending it.
Okay.
If I want to send this only morning session specifically for your batch, I was not able to send that. If I have to send, I have to send all these 5 different sections because the sharing is at the training level. The option of sharing is at a main book level, not individual sections level. So I need to capture this into a different book and send it to you.
Yeah, okay.
I'll do that. I'll capture this entire section in a different book and do it. Yeah.
What is this document, like OneNote? It's called as OneNote?
Yeah, this is called as OneNote.
It's part of, it's a MS or?
Application like Microsoft.
Microsoft Office.
Microsoft Office. Karthik, you can from this option file send, you can send the file via mail directly.
It will only capture this morning?
Yes.
I don't think so. Let me.
Yes, send as an attachment. You can try send as a PDF. You can see, or Word, anything. Because I feel also comfortable. Yes, you can see here. To use OneNote because it always, you doesn't need to save.
Yeah. No, you don't need to save that.
So you can send as a PDF. So your one. So similarly, all the classes you can create and you can send.
Or rather, I just want to share. The moment I do an update, you will get notified about that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so if you can able to see it, only CR will get captured here.
Okay, nice. Then I'll do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Now there are something called one-time setup in the system when you are working on a fresh brand new MDG box. then you need to do some setup at the system level. So that part we'll discuss now. That is again only relevant to workflow configurations. Just a moment. Yeah. So if it is a brand new system, we need to set up some of the workflow users and some of the RFC connections which requires for a workflow user and a workflow background users. So this activity would be generally part of the basis, or sometimes it would be given to the workflow developers. That is /wow SW U3T code. Earlier it used to be a manual activity, but recently SAP has come up with the consolidated cockpit. Now, in the fresh box, you would be seeing the configure RFC destination, need system administration, all of these things into red color. Now, all we need to do is
What is the
we'll
transaction? SW?
U3.
U3.
SW. Now all we need to do is we'll put a cursor here and click on the start verification of workflow. So automatically this will run the program for each and every node, and it will create the relevant RFC destinations, activity plans, everything. It will start executing by its own.
It is the process of basis, right? We don't even have the authorization to go to this transaction. Am I right?
Ideally, yes, but it purely depends on the sensitivity of how your basis is considering. Some companies would give us an access to do it, and some of the clients, they will do it by themselves, because it is trying to create an RFC destination. It will try to create an workflow user, and destinations and users are part of basis activity. So definitely some of the clients will not give you an access to execute this T code. So here all we need to do is put the cursor and start click on verify in the workflow, or you say redo automatic customizing. So since it is already turned into green color, system is not starting the automatic customizing. Else it would have start a job and it will automatically turn all these buttons into green. Okay, so that's step one. Next, we need to go into MDG AMG, general settings, process modeling, workflow, and here activate event type linkage. Now for this, activate the event linkage. This activity is a combination of the business object and event created. The receiver type should be set as blank, and the receiver type function module should be set as USMD underscore WF underscore receiver underscore type. Receiver type should be set as blank, and the type of function module is this one. For what? Event created. So there is a business object BUS2250. For this, event created, receiver type should be set as blank, and inside this, receiver type function module would be USMD underscore WF underscore receiver underscore type.
This object type is for what? 2550?
So this is for a workflow. MDG workflow object.
For anything, whether it can be for material or vendor or customer, we need to do this config, right?
Correct.
Even is it for rule-based workflow as well as for the static, both we need to do it?
Anything. So this is only for the older versions of MDG. We need this verification. Only this specific step. The latest versions of MDG starting from 8.0, SAP is delivering this record along with the software. The moment you activate the business functions, you will see this record is available on the system. In case if you are working in any of less than MDG 8.0 versions, you need to do one manual verification.
Mm, Karthik, where do we upload the list of approvers into the system
Let us
after
see in the
we?
That's in the workflow.
Okay, we have verified, right? We have this verification step.
Yeah. So once the prerequisites for the workflow setup is done, then we'll work on the approvers assignment and the list of approvers, approval levels, and what actions we can perform. We'll discuss that.
Okay.
Now, the next step would be configure workflow task. All the activities denoted by TS star, need to remember, denoted by TS star, and except the background task needs to be set as general tasks. In configure workflow tasks, in assign agents for the MDG application framework,
Hello, Karthik.
yeah,
I have one question. Actually, you assign that ID. Okay, so in this will be in which level approver? Because we are suppose approved, then it will be go to next level. Then he will be again reject or something. So this agent assignment which level approval? How you like?
why are we discussing about that? So right now we did not even enter into that configuration.
Okay,
What
so
we are doing is we are trying to ensure that there is a platform which will make sure your workflow configurations will run smoothly.
okay.
If we are not doing this setup, even though you configure the users, the tasks, actions for a workflow, it will run into errors.
It's showing it assign agent. So what is
Where is
the
it showing? Acha, this one. Okay.
this one assign agent. What is the
Okay.
responsibility of this agent?
So assign agents means there are some steps in a workflow which has to be classified as a general task. Only then it can take a user assignments. Else it cannot take the user assignments. A property of a step should be a user step, right?
Okay.
So here we are trying to classify a step as a user step. Now there are various tasks.
Okay, only you assign is
I am not
defined.
assigning a users here. I am
Okay,
not
okay.
assigning a user.
This is user steps.
Yeah.
Means this is foreground. Okay.
It's a combination of user and background steps. All
Okay.
steps are available here. Now workflow templates will make use of this step, this step, this step, this step. All different steps in its workflow template.
Okay.
Now there are some steps which are classified as user steps, which are especially denoted by TS star. TS followed by anything, and TS will have a general task and a background task here. Right now you are seeing a general task and a background task. But initially you would see like initially you will not see any classifications for certain tasks. TS 54307931. You will see here the classification of this task will be empty, absolutely zero. Example like this. Here you are not seeing any classification for this, right? Similarly, for all these general tasks, when you get a fresh system, you will not see any value here. Then we select the task, go to attributes and click this general task radio button and click on transfer. Then the task will become as a general task. So this is the activity which we need to perform in the system. Again, this is one time.
TS
The
star
task TS star, which are not background tasks. Backgrounds are delivered by SAP. We are not concerned about that. But the tasks which are having null here, space,
so
we will select them.
Okay, initially that one is empty, na? So how you know which is background, which one? Initially you told all are empty, na?
No. I'm saying background is defined by SAP.
Oh, it will be there. Okay. I got it.
It will be there.
Okay.
Apart from background tasks, the rest of the tasks
Okay. Got it.
has to be selected and converted.
Okay.
All the activities denoted by TS star except the background task
Okay.
needs to be set as
General tax.
general tasks. Okay, so here I would just like to park the discussion. In the next session, we will be discussing on the static workflows and BRF plus workflows. Meanwhile, I'll be sharing this document as well. If you get some time, please go through with this document. We will be designing this specific scenario in the system from scratch.
Okay.
Okay.
Karthik, you will be sending us the notes for all the respective sessions.
Yes, I'll be sending.
Yeah.
Karthik, and also activation of business workflow. Oh, sorry, please continue.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and Karthik, also that like where we have to activate the business activities, like the business functions, that link, like if you could send. Like the first session we have discussed, right? Then the SAP, like where we have to go and check for the which all business functions we have to activate here.
Correct. Okay, that link also I share.
Yeah, thank you.
Karthik,
Thank
just
you.
one. Karthik. Okay.
Yeah, please go.
Just one thing related to CR. Okay. I have one. Like while creating a CR, you have seen that there are multiple options which was coming as a mandatory things. So could you able to tell us like how we can able to change some fields which is not mandatory and we want that fields to be mandatory?
In the change request level?
Yeah, in the change request level.
One, the change request description is mandatory. You cannot make it optional. That is mandatory for sure. Okay. So apart from that, you have a body. Customize user interface for the change request.
Okay.
Okay. If you implement this, CS change request field, right? So here you can make this fields as mandatory. Priority, due date, reason for mandatory, reason for rejection. You just make the field value as X, it will automatically become mandatory.
Karthik, only one way through body. There is no other customizing.
There are multiple ways. There are multiple ways which we will be discussing on the UI modeling level.
Okay.
Change request archiving, you don't, what is that one? Miss it, I think.
This is a new node which has come up from MDG, 9.2 version, the latest version.
Okay. What is the use?
So after some point of time, your change request will get heavy in the database, which will decrease the performance of your application run. So then you'll archive the list of change requests into an archive server. Instead of deleting the request, you'll archive them.
Okay.
And define residence timing means how long the change request can be in your current database. Let's say I'll say 6 months. After 6 months, your change request will be automatically archived to the archive server.
Oh, got it. Okay, okay.
So that is also the part of functional for like, because when I'll see the other activities, it's a server cleansing, or you can say that so usually the basis team will take house cleaning activity. So so this part we need to take in the MDG session in MDG.
On a frankly note, even I did not also work on this change request archiving so far. I just need to spend some time on this to understand why it is being part of MDG AMG. Instead, it's a basis role.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karthik?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just want to remind you, like from yesterday's session, I have a question
on the
regarding yeah,
example,
like the linking of the tables. Yeah, the qualifying and the leading.
Yeah, I'll
So
take
wherever
it.
you get time.
I'll take it now.
Sure, thank you.
And do we have others? Do we have any questions?
Karthik, do you have any assignment for this week, or like from next week it will be starting?
No, next week it will be started.
Okay.
The complete, the change request with workflows in the process model. Yeah.
Karthik, have you shared any documents yesterday to the team? Or not received any documents?
Yesterday I did not share any documents. Today I will be sharing.
Okay.
I'll be sharing along with that notes, the running notes.
So one more question, just this target for this completion of the whole session is by end of the December, or how it will go? So just I need to plan something, that is the reason I'm asking this question.
Yeah, so if we complete this workflows, I think 50% of the codes would have been completed. The BRF plus and the static workflow templates. From there, you'll add next 4 weeks. So hardly it would be January first week or maximum December last week.
Okay, thank you.
Karthik, I just wanted to ask, will you help us in building our resume or something like that?
Yes, I'll give you some sample resumes. I can help you what project that you can, project in your resume also.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So I'll be discussing something which is specific to, the explanation about the solution in terms of type 1 entities. Now, the question is from
Rachit.
Rajat.
R-A-C-H-I-T, Rachit.
Sorry, spell once again.
R-A-C-H-I-T.
Rajat. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me know what you understood about type 1 entity and type 4.
Where I am getting confused is with the qualifying and leading tables, if you're talking about. So if I say, for example, there are few tables like company count table, trading partner table, cost center table, so right. So how are we linking those tables, and what is there for qualifying and what is there for leading? Initially, I was having some idea, but later at the later stage, I got confused because you know what is happening whenever because I'm also applying my a little bit logic, my understanding about MDG. So I think there is where I got confused.
Okay. So I think we'll pull the a document where all the tables have been linked, a PDF.
Like you told that Marcy is the leading table, and then Mardi is also leading, but works table is qualifying to Mardi, something like that. So from that perspective, I just want to if you can give me a small example. Yeah.
So here we have cost center master, cost center element, cost center activity. Yeah, CSKS.
Yep.
CSSK, CSSL. Now I'll just take the key fields of these three tables. CSKS, CSSK, CSSL. CSSK. CSSL. And CSKS. Now these are the three tables. So if someone has to extend a cost center with an activity list, first of all the cost center has to be existing, right?
Yep.
So cost center, CSKS, and this cost center activity can have multiple records. One cost center can be extended to multiple activities, right?
Absolutely.
Similarly, let me try to mark the fields which are common. These are the key fields which are common in three entities, I mean in three tables, right?
Yes.
Now, this table has the list of key fields CSSL, which are these two, specific to this table itself. And these are version ID, physical year, and cost elements are something specific to CSSK. Cost center element. Now there is no relationship between CSSL and CSSK. These two are directly dependent on cost center table, right?
Yeah.
There is no dependency between these two tables. Now I understood that this will be a type 1 entity because this is root. And these two are dependent on cost center because that's why I'm assigning these are type 4 and this is also type 4. We are clear on this assignment. Agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this, if I mark an attribute as a key attribute, automatically that attributes of CSKS will flow down to the dependent entities. Via what? The relationships. So I'll make from entity relation to entity. So here what is a from entity? CSKS is a from entity. Is leading whom? CSSL is one relationship. Similarly, CSKS is leading CSSK. By this we have established this relationship. Clear?
Yeah.
On this part? Okay. So now what happens if I maintain this relationship? All the key fields from CSKS will be derived to CSSL. That means we should not have these two fields in CSSK or CSSL entity level.
Okay, because they are type 1.
Because these are the two key fields deriving from type 1.
Okay, sure.
Okay, and we have this physical year in both the tables. So what I'll do, I'll take GJAHR and version and activity type, all of these things with type 3 attribute. Why I need to do this with type 3 attribute? Because I need to add these attributes as key attributes in CSKK and CSSL, which I cannot directly mark an attribute as a key attribute. So for that, what I'll do, I'll focus on CSSL now. LSTR will be qualifying CSSL. One key field will be added to CSSL. GJHR is qualifying CSSL. Then one more key field will be added to CSSL.
That means to say in CSSL LS star and GHS should not be there, okay?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, this is for one table. So if we maintain this relationship, we will get these 4 key fields in CSSL automatically by these relationships.
Let me rephrase, Karthik here. Why we are not taking controlling area and cost center, costal and KOKRS? Because they are derived from type 1 entity, right? From
By
CSKS, right?
Exactly.
And initially we have taken activity type and fiscal year from CSSL as type 4. However, now we are taking it as type 3, as qualifying to CSSL. Okay.
Okay. So first we have just marked which one can be type 1 and which one can be type 4. We have only captured here the key fields, but apart from key fields, there are also non-key fields also, right, in the database. Example, CSKS. I'm just taking some key fields. This is key field. This is key field. This is key field. And CSSK These are all non-key attributes. So now this entity will have only these attributes when you are designing an entity, because these are the 4 which are coming from our relationships, and this entity will have only these 3 attributes when you are designing an entity. Again, these are the 5 key fields which are coming from the derivations. But for this CS case, we'll have all these attributes at an entity level, and you'll just mark this is a key attribute, this is a key attribute, this is a key attribute at a type 1 entity level itself, because you can mark an attribute as a key attribute.
Right. So in case of CSSK, to which CSKS is leading to, right? We will be having version and fiscal year as qualifying to CSSK, because
And
CSKS is leading.
And also cost element 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Three. Yeah, blue ones. Absolutely.
Can we put it in this way? We can define the qualifying only for the type 3 entity.
Yeah. Qualifying is only for type 3 entity. Correct.